What up, Cucks? It's your boy, the hater. And in the context of wrestling, there's a lot of times that people talk about overrated wrestlers. You hear preposterous things like Goldberg was overrated. You even hear sometimes Undertaker and Sting are overrated and that Kenta Kobashi is better than them. Now, these people that say this obviously cannot be taken seriously. But the one thing that you seldom hear about in terms of legendary wrestlers are legendary wrestlers that are underrated. And I'm here to present a case for one of my personal favorites back in the day, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. In my opinion, Jeff Jarrett has never gotten the respect that he so rightfully deserves, okay? Jeff Jarrett is someone that has pretty much led the wrestling world for many years. He is a leader. He is a pioneer. He is the first man since Ted Turner, who's a legitimate billionaire and who doesn't have anything to do with wrestling, to attempt to start something against WWE. Multiple times, might I add. That being said, Jeff Jarrett also still wrestles. Think about that. He wrestles consistently. He wrestles well. And the fact that Jeff Jarrett is out there feuding with Danhausen and Orange Cassidy is a sin against humanity. It is basically a war crime. The truth is, Jeff Jarrett should be in the main event of that bum company, AW. Jeff Jarrett should be squashing people like Adam Page and Swerve Strickland because he is a legend. If there is a 0% chance that Swerve Strickland will be on TV when he's in his 50s. 0%. There is no way in hell that's happening, right? But Jeff Jarrett is on TV, and he is relevant to an extent. He's doing, think about this. He is someone who is as old as he is, and he is in a group with Sanjay Dutt, right? And Jay Lethal, and he is probably the most active member of that group. Now, with all that in mind, why is it that people like Jeff Jarrett get held back, right? Maybe he's too small, but that's not a factor anymore. Everyone's too small now. So I don't really get it. Maybe he's too old, but so what? He can wrestle really well. He can put on good matches, right? So why is that an issue? Now, I believe that he was pretty much given the short end of the stick when WWE acquired WCW, and for good cause. I'm not going to blame Vince for that. But the truth is that Jeff Jarrett is a legend, right? Jeff Jarrett is a multiple-time world champion in TNA as well as WCW. And in my opinion, in WWE, he stood out during the Attitude Era when he had that little misogynist gimmick and he jobbed to China. That's one of the most significant matches of the Attitude Era because China became Intercontinental Champion, which is insane, right? Which was a huge thing, a huge deal back then. Hasn't happened since, cucks. So with that being said, in my opinion, Jeff Jarrett needs his flowers, as the children would say. Now, here's the thing about Jeff Jarrett. He also gets a lot of crap for being the Triple H, essentially, of TNA, right? For hogging the belt. Now, with all that being said, I get that criticism. I believe that at least one of the one of the Jeff Jarrett title reigns should have been a Monty Brown title reign. But here's the problem. What if Monty Brown pulls a Jeff Jarrett and decides to quit and go join WWE, right? The only person in TNA that was not going to do that was Jeff Jarrett. That's a guarantee. It's his company, and Vince hates him. So, of course, Jeff Jarrett needed to be the TNA champion. Beyond that, he also has the credibility, right? Because he's a multiple-time world champion. So he adds that credibility to TNA and to the NWA and eventually TNA world title, right? Jeff Jarrett is a legend, and he doesn't get the props he deserves. His work with Owen Hart, incredible. His partnership with Deborah, amazing. All of the stuff he did in TNA, give or take, some of it wasn't that good, but a lot of it was great. His feud with Kurt Angle is one of the best feuds in TNA history, in my opinion. And the reversal of roles was fantastic. There was a point where Jeff Jarrett was the face, and then it turns out that in real life, he steals Kurt Angle's wife, and then the roles kind of switch because it's perceived as a legitimate screw job towards Kurt Angle, right? And it was in many ways. So think about that. Think about all the things that Jeff Jarrett has contributed to wrestling. Then take a brief moment and think about the fact that he continues to do that, right? Now you tell me why Jeff Jarrett is not considered to be a legend, at least on the level of like a Jake the Snake Roberts, right? In my opinion, he should be on the level of easily Kurt Angle, easily Sting. Like he's on that level. Easily, even The Undertaker, right? The longevity that Jeff Jarrett has had has been insane, right? He's put on match after match. He's gone to Mexico and put on matches. He returns to WWE and puts on matches. He's in TNA now and puts on matches. He was in the match that Ric Flair had as his final match. Jeff Jarrett is legit. He is a legend, and he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I'll say again. And with that being said, we have to ask ourselves, will he get that respect at some point? In my opinion, the answer is no, because now the fan base has turned into this whiny, annoying fan base that gets mad at old-timers. They completely ignore all the stuff that he's doing, that he does not operate like a normal old-timer. He's out there wrestling basically every week. You know? Compare that to Sting. Compare that to Undertaker. Compare that to Mick Foley for the last, dozen years, right? Compare that to John Cena even, right? Jeff Jarrett is out there wrestling more than these guys, and he's like older than most of them. You know what I mean? He's got to be in his late 50s up until this point, right? So with that being said, everything that Jeff Jarrett has contributed, and hell, the fact that he made TNA wrestling is enough for me to put him as a legend, right? He is responsible for some of the greatest moments in wrestling. I know. Oh, the hater is overrating TNA. No, I'm not. Go watch TNA. It was amazing, right? Everything. The card from top to bottom was great. Watch the Bound for Glory one. I forget what the main event was, but it was the one with I think it was the one with Kurt Angle, Mr. Anderson, and Jeff Hardy. I remember that one of the matches was Eric Young versus Nash and Hernandez, right? For the TV title, whatever the fuck it was called. So you have to consider these things. Jeff Jarrett is responsible for all of these things. And at the very least, he was a solid mid-carder. At the very least, he should get the respect that people like Godfather and Rikishi get, because there's no dispute that he's better than them by a significant margin. And with that being said, I'm going to cut this video a little short because there's not much more to say about this, right? You either see it or you don't. And in my opinion, if you don't see it, you're just lying to yourself. You're just lying, right? Jeff Jarrett is out there still putting people over, right? Still doing his job. And he doesn't get the flowers. Why? So that Gunther, we can talk about how great of an Intercontinental champion Gunther is. 90% of the time, I forget he's an Intercontinental champion because he's completely useless. Right? Why? So Karrion Kross can get another push after he gets rehired that leads to absolutely nothing, just like I predicted every single time? Why? Why does Jeff Jarrett have to get the short end of the stick, right? Why is that? Ask yourselves, was he really that bad in the ring? No, he was a hateable heel who was very good in the ring and who was a good wrestling personality. Good on the mic, good on the ring, charismatic. I mean, you need to have some level of charisma to be able to steal Kurt Angle's wife away from him. She's a good-looking woman, and Kurt Angle is Kurt Angle. So you have to, and you also have to have a big satch to do that too. So in my opinion, I don't endorse that, of course, but I do give props to Jeff Jarrett for being as awesome as he has been and entertaining me for as long as he has. When I watch AEW, I skip bullshit like Adam Page. I don't care at all. Oh, Adam Page, he's on another redemption arc. All this guy does is lose and then get good all of a sudden and start winning. And then he loses again and you repeat this. And every time you do it, it's with a lower level wrestler. He did it with Kenny Omega. He finally came back and he finally beat Kenny Omega, only to have the same thing happen with Swerve Strickland. And what's next? He's going to come back and beat Swerve Strickland? Who cares? Swerve Strickland just lost to Daniel Bryan 2 weeks ago on a throwaway episode, right after his big win against Adam Page. It's never going to happen for Swerve Strickland. It's never going to happen for Adam Page. They're never going to be WWE champion, which is the ultimate goal. And if that cannot be reached, you better hope you at some point were WCW champion, right? Especially if you're a multiple-time WCW champion like, the likes of Booker T, Sting, who was also never WWE champion, Jeff Jarrett, obviously the man of the hour here. But at the same time, being the world champion in a company that eventually was able to get 2 million views, right? Going head-to-head, basically, with WWE, that's impressive. I don't care how you cut that, right? This man, right, is, if you were to do a list of most important people in the history of wrestling, he would have to be a top, I'm not gonna be overly generous, at least a top 20, right? Because there are wrestlers that are more important than him, like Rock, Austin, Taker. They're more important, Shawn Michaels. They're more important than him, right? But he should at least go down in history as the equivalent to a Triple H, right? Because they're very comparable, and except Jeff Jarrett, in my opinion, was more charismatic. Triple H is obviously good too. There's no denying that. But I always thought Jeff Jarrett was more entertaining than Triple H. Triple H was always overshadowed, typically either by his partner, Shawn Michaels, or his partner, if you will, Ric Flair in Evolution. And if that wasn't the case, he was almost always, I can't think of one time when he wasn't overshadowed by his opponent, right? Unless it's like, Maven or something, right? But generally speaking, he was overshadowed by his opponent. Everyone always liked the other guy more, and not because Triple H was a heel, but because the other guy was better. Jericho, Stone Cold, The Rock, Taker, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley. All these people were more over and more liked than Triple H, right? But Triple H has ascended to this kind of godlike GOAT status. Well, I'm here to tell you that so should Jeff Jarrett. Cuckolds.